let's do it. Let's get into the platform. So what you see on the screen right now is a desktop platform. I mentioned this earlier. If your platform looks completely different, you're probably on our web-based platform, which is trade.tastytrade.com on a web browser. This is a downloadable piece of software. It's our most robust piece of technology. So that's where we're going to be doing our demo today. I would definitely say, when you're doing a majority of your trading, stick to the desktop platform. It's got the most features, the most functionality that you want in your trading platform. But, our web-based platform, we're actually going to come out with a brand new one here very, very soon that looks fantastic. But also our mobile platform is really good, just more of on the go. While you're at your computer, definitely download the software. So now that we've downloaded the software, we've signed in, we are going to be presented with our main window. We're going to default to our positions tab. So as you can see in the middle here, let's get our drawing tool up. Might be a little bit easier for you guys to see. Boom, boom. So in the middle here, right now, we're looking at our positions tab. And we'll draw a little arrow here. Clicking on this positions tab right here. Right now, I have quite a few positions on. You can see we got a position in crude oil, AAPL, Apple. We actually have a fractional share here in Costco. So if you missed the stock trading demo yesterday, you can actually purchase and sell fractional shares on the platform too, if you need. Definitely great if you're trying to diversify. But in the middle, we got our positions tab. This is going to be kind of your main station, checking out, hey, where are my positions at? Definitely, when you're looking at the columns here, I'll show you guys how to set this up shortly, but and we'll kind of revisit it. But just some columns that I have set up here that'll help show you how to set these up. You'll have delta, you'll get theta, especially as you're trading options. You want to see, hey, what's my net delta across all of the positions I have in crude oil? Well, it looks like I'm positive 0.07 delta, slightly bullish there. You can also get the days until expiration column here. This is a great column to sort if you're like, hey, what kind of positions are nearing expiration or maybe nearing my management point? If you have a select, you're like, hey, 2 weeks out, I like to manage my positions. Well, hey, look, it's 14 days until expiration for our crude oil position right now. Maybe we want to go in and manage it. So all great columns that you can have in the positions tab. We'll go back shortly to show how you can set that up. But when we're talking about options trading, we're mostly going to spend a lot of our time in the trade tab. So in some of our overview demo, we talked about the left side panel here, this watch list on the left. For the most part, if you're just focusing on options trading, you can kind of forget about this over here. This is more of just like a symbol scanner. On our right side panel, which if you click on this arrow in the top right, sometimes people miss it. If your resolution is big enough too, it might already be embedded within the platform. But if you click on this arrow in the top right of the platform, bada boom. And then let's clear all of our drawings. This right side panel here, same dealio. You don't really need to focus on it too much. Later when we talk about order chains, it's definitely very useful. But for the most part, I like to take this window. If you got a second monitor or just extra space on your screen, tap this little arrow icon. You can pop it out, pull it into a different window. And now you're going to be able to get the information in this right side panel off your main platform. So you can still view it while messing around the trade tab, and it's not blocking anything. So it's just a matter of screen space. Let's go back here really quickly. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and collapse this right side panel. Don't need to worry about it. Just clicking on this arrow in the top right. So let's get it out of our way. So we got the biggest landing strip possible. I want to see some options. So let's get into our options trade. So first, we are going to go to the trade tab. So it's this tab right here. It's horizontal, or well, kind of sideways, but if you scroll your mouse over, it'll highlight too, and you can click on trade. So right now we are in the trade table mode. This is the default mode. So say you are, you open up the platform for the first time, you click on trade. This is where you're going to start in the table mode. This is our options chain. So for those of you just starting options or even experienced, this is where you're going to see your options ladder, where you get all the options pricing, where you're going to place your options orders, or at least set up and, kind of play around and get to see your break-even points as well. So now that we are in the table mode, you're thinking, okay, what are we looking at here? We got quite a bit of information. Well, for the most part, all you got to look at is the info right in here. And this is the trade table. Right now, we're looking at the trade table for Costco. And that's our active symbol at the top of the platform. So something we talked about in our overview video, active symbol, very important. As you are searching different symbols, maybe I want to pull up the order, or not the order chains, the options chains for Apple. I want to trade options on Apple. You can type it in at the top, click search, and now we're viewing the options chain for Apple. So either by searching at the top or also by clicking on any symbol in our watch list, either it's on the watch list from the right side panel or from the left side panel, that's going to become our active symbol. That's our options that we're trading on right now. So you see DDOG at the top, we're in the options chain for DDOG. Important to know, sometimes you might get mixed up. You don't realize you have the right symbol set up at the top, but yeah, just make sure, get your active symbol set, click it, boom, you're good to go. So let's go back to Costco. Kirkland brand, baby. And let's clear out our drawings really quick and make it a little bigger here. So again, we're just focusing on this area in our trade tab. Cassava, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully didn't butcher that. People can't pronounce my last name, so hope I know the feels. But you can pick to see, you can filter expirations two ways, and I'll show you in a second. And we just do it off the bat too while you ask the question. You can either filter by weekly expirations or non-regular expirations and monthly expirations. So either you can view the generally more liquid contracts are going to be those monthly contracts, but you can get the weekly contracts that are, expiring all the way up the next week. We can see right here, it's like, oh yeah, okay, we got a weekly 2-day for May 5th for Costco, but then you see this next one, May 19th, is going to be a monthly expiration on that third Friday of the month. So you can filter between these two. It's the best way. This is all you got for right now. The best way to filter between the two is, if you just want to see those monthlies, you can click on regular expirations only. So it's in the strike button, or not strike button, sorry, under this filter button in the top right, and then clicking on regular expirations. Now you see, we don't see those weekly expirations anymore. We just see our regular monthly. You might think, you might pull up a symbol and be like, hey, I thought there was weeklies on this symbol. Like I'm not seeing them at all. First place to check is, double check that your filters didn't get reset, or, maybe made a misclick or something. Make sure that, I just usually set it to all expirations. So now we can see all expirations. Let's get a little breakdown on the information that we're looking at within the trade table. So there's quite a lot. I see, Peter, you just sent something in the Q&A. My desktop is looking different from yours. So that's a case of you are probably on the web-based platform at trade.tastytrade.com. Peter's going to toss a link in the chat here where you can go and download this desktop platform. You're probably on our web-based platform, or you're on a completely different platform that I don't know about. So we'll find out soon. So good luck with that. Hopefully it gets fixed. So we'll continue on. Sorry for the hold up there, folks. So we got quite a bit of information going on here. What's going on? So first, before we even expand any of these expirations and look at the different strike prices we can trade, we get a little breakdown on the expiration dates that we can trade. So this would say a May 5th expiration date for this options chain, May 12th expiration date for this one. That monthly one we were talking about, third Friday of the week, May 19th, 16 days out. And you can tell the monthly versus weekly is the weeklies are this small orange W. So the difference, the regular, non-regular I was talking about earlier, it's either if it has a W there, if it's a weekly expiration, or if it's one of the regular monthly expirations like this. To the right of that, we can ignore the top columns for a second. We're going to get a little bit more information. We're going to get a number and then D. So you're going, what's that? Well, that's telling you the amount of days until expiration for this strike. So May 19th, that is in 16 days. So if you like to select expiration dates that you want to place trades on or opening trades on, based on a certain time frame, maybe you're like, oh, I want to place a trade general, or like my strategy rolls around placing trades at 45 days until expiration. You can look quickly in your options chain and see, okay, this is the expiration I want to trade is 44 days out. And if you wanted to open the options chain on that expiration, all you got to do is just left click on the row. So we're on the June 16th row, 44 days out, click on the row, and now we see the full options chain for this expiration. Right now, you might only see just a few strikes. One other setting that you can play around with, and it depends if you're doing calendar spreads too. I can show you how to do that easy in a second. But I like just selecting in this top right setting here, all. You can select how many strikes are listed when you expand an options chain. So you can either go like, hey, I only want to see 6 strike prices when I expand an options chain. You can see 6 strike prices in the middle of our options chain. We're getting 6 rows. So you go all, you're going to see, you can scroll up and down all the way up and down to whatever's listed. Or you can stick to, 12 is pretty good. 16 will usually get you right around that 1 standard deviation mark in terms of ticks, but it's product by product, price, volatility, kind of play around with it. It's pretty easy to change. Just this, once again, this strikes button in the top right of the platform. So set it to how you like. So really quickly, we can collapse this. So we're like, hey, I don't like this chain. Maybe the liquidity on this is actually not too bad based on the open interest that we're seeing in here and volume, something that I'll talk a little bit more on in a second. But say, just for example, this didn't have great liquidity. Maybe the bid asks were super wide, not a lot of market participants in this specific expiration. You can fall into that with weekly expirations specifically. But if we wanted to just close this entire expiration, all you got to do, just click on the row, boom. And now it's closed up that June 16th. If you want to rapid fire, you can click it, unclick it, very quick, snappy, just based on how you want to move. So couple more very important figures I want to mention here on the options chain on the right side. We are going to get the implied volatility, or IVX, for this specific expiration. So it's saying the implied volatility 16 days out based on Black-Scholes model, like 1 standard deviation move, it's about like 23.9%. And then if we look at the expected move, that's this plus or minus number here. It's saying that, once again, based on Black-Scholes pricing model with a 1 standard deviation expected move, where is this going to trade within 16 days until expiration for this chain? In this case, it's saying, oh yeah, based on averages and that 1 standard deviation move, it should likely go up or down about $16.83 dollars. So this is something that you can definitely keep in mind as you're approaching a trade. You're looking how volatile certain expirations are. You can see definitely as we go back here on the left, let me just get rid of that drawing. You see this purple E line that's indicating an earnings. So you see how the purple line is going across. And then on the far right, you're going to see the May 25th. So you're going to see a date. That's the date of the earnings announcement. And then we're going to see, is this before or after the bell? You see a little bell icon, arrow after the bell, arrow before the bell. So little intuitive icon there. But as we're looking at implied volatility and the expected move, you'd probably expect that, hey, the expiration right after an earnings announcement for for Costco or any company, it's probably going to be a little bit higher because there's uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen with this earnings report. There's probably a larger expected move. So we can touch on that a little bit more in a second in terms of how we can use that maybe to help us set up a trade. But for right now, let's go ahead and open up one of our expirations. So let's see, something that you might want to do, especially like say you like placing earnings plays, or, I mean, you probably wouldn't be trading around dividends if you're doing option spreads or, short options, but specifically for earnings, something I like to show off here just to try and, get you a little trade inspiration is the middle watch list panel. So just a little side mission here. Let's go to our watch list panel. It's this guy right here that I pointed the arrows to. You scroll your mouse over as well. It's going to show you the names of all these different tabs. So click on watch list. And now we get a big watch list panel here. And as we are in our watch list here, we got a ton of different columns that we can edit. But most importantly, we can add in columns like, hey, when's the dividend for these symbols? When are earnings at? What's the market cap? What's the volume of contracts traded for the day? A really powerful column that I like to reference is the liquidity rating column. Actually, it's a proprietary rating based on how much open interest and volume is on the options, and then also traded on the outright. And it produces a star rating saying, hey, 4 stars, this is a pretty liquid product. There's quite a lot of transactions going on. Versus, maybe a 2 or a 3 star where it's like, maybe not as popular of a stock or product, not a lot of people trading it, a little less liquid. You're not going to have as tight a bid-ask spread, a little more slippage there just from a lack of market participants. So as you're scanning through symbols, it's definitely nice to look at like, hey, what's the liquidity rating on this? What kind of liquidity am I working with? Sometimes you might find a company or a stock where you got a really big premonition. You're like, I believe it's going to go this way. I really, I'm going to buy a bunch of calls or something. But you don't realize that maybe you are the only person purchasing calls on that entire stock because it's just super thin. It's not a very common low price stock, something like that. Try and, definitely stay with liquid products. So that's just our spiel about liquid products. If you wanted to add that in, because I talked about it so much, we can click on the gear icon in the top right of the platform here. Click on the gear icon. And then something that I'm sure most of you have been aware with, if you saw our overview demo, or if you have played around in the settings, we have a displayed section and a not displayed section. So if you want to, you can always reference back to our recording, but these are definitely some good columns that I like to have in my middle watch list. There's a lot more stuff you can look to add here, multiple pages worth of pages. You can add over, drag and drop. Maybe I wanted to see IV rank percent, or what's the implied volatility rank for each of these symbols. You can left click on the not displayed item, drag over to displayed, and now I need to do a real reordering. Click OK, and we can see IV rank is now a column on our positions tab right here. So good stuff. And then liquidity rating was one of those guys on the list there too. The last part that I like to show off is that there is a filtering function. It looks like Zoom's kind of cutting off my screen here. Gotta love the software. But without worrying about the right side here, you can filter all the symbols that you have up in your watch list, either based on an earnings date coming up, different IV rank levels, and liquidity rating too. So you can say, hey, I only want to look at 4-star. Well, probably looks like 3 stars to you guys, but 4 stars here. Then you will only see symbols with 4-star liquidity rating. So you can go through, find the symbol that you want to trade based on metrics. Maybe you're trying to place an earnings trade. Now you can go back to our trade tab here. So thank you for bearing with me as we've talked about that. Let's get back to the good, juicy stuff. Now that we're back in our trade tab, once again, we are in the table mode. So if you're in any of these modes, there's a lot of them. Make sure you select this guy on the far left. While you're there, let's go ahead and, we were talking about an earnings play. Generally, I'm setting up an earnings play right at the expiration, right after the announcement, or at least like the expiration after this line item here. So I'm going to look to trade 23 days out on this expiration. If I want to check out the strikes trading, go ahead and click on the drop down. Now we can see all the different strikes that are trading for the May 26th. This is a weekly expiration. We're 23 days out until expiration. And about what is it, May 25th? We're getting there on the earnings. It's going to be right there. But while we're in this tab, got a bunch more information to go over really quickly. We got two sides. So we got our call side here, if you're trading calls. And then we also have our put side on the right side. So whenever you're messing around, placing trades on puts, you're on the right side, calls, left side. You can see the designation for that just like right here. Calls on the left side, puts on the right side. On each of these sides, it's going to be a bid and ask for each of these strikes. So it's the bid and ask price for each of these strike prices. It's saying, hey, if we look at the 490 strike, you look at this row on the call side, the bid's at 1220, the ask is at 1285. Now, these numbers play important not only to understand, hey, what's the pricing of this right now, but for also placing orders as you navigate through the trade tab. We have a little strategy selector menu, arrowing to here at the top of the platform. It's good for beginners, and I'll show you how to use it. But yeah, if you're looking to get some inspiration on, hey, how do I set up this kind of trade? It's a good tool. We'll show it in a second. But just to go over some of the last pieces of information that we have within the trade tab, you have the volume. So you might have different information here right now. Right now I have volume and open interest. So again, I like to look at the liquidity on these strikes. The more closer to that at the money strike, it's probably going to be a little more liquid. But if you wanted to change these, all you got to do is just go to the top. See these here. Doesn't actually count for bid and ask, but also on the right side, same mirrored on both sides. You click on it and now get out of the way drawings. There we go. Now you can see a big drop down. You want to see the Greeks. You want to see your theta for each of these strikes. You want to see the delta for each of these strikes. You can change that in the column tops. Bid and ask are always going to be there. So as much as you try, unfortunately, they ain't going anywhere. But you can potentially get more columns on here based on your screen resolution. Right now, I just have a 4x4, but you can get potentially up to a 5x5 or like a 5 wide, 6 wide, if you have a really big screen. It's just stretch out your platform, go full screen, get some more information. But again, in my preference, I like looking at volume and open interest, just checking out liquidity, like trading the more liquid strikes. I mean, the market's closed right now, so the bid ask, nothing's moving. Prices are all gray. Normally, when the market is going and prices are changing, a green flick of the price is indicating that, hey, that's gone up, or red, down, gray, staying the same. Since the market's closed, they're all staying the same. They're all gray. But so we had those two columns that we can play around on either side. And then in the just some last piece here, you can see the blue dotted line here. I'm going to talk about in a second too, but this is indicating a 1 standard deviation move, just based on the implied volatility. So it's a blue dashed line right there. And if you popped up the delta, it correlates with right around that like 16 delta. Which if you think about it, you got 16 deltas on both sides. You get the curve, go back to the old math classes, but that will be your 1 standard deviation line based on the current price of the underlying. So, and that's indicated by this little gray dot here. So you can't really see it too well off the bat, especially when it's not moving and it's gray. But when it is moving, you see this little donut, that's indicating where that last price was for that security. And then we also have the in the money indicator here. Right now, we actually have 0.25 shares. We got that fractional shares on Costco. which is blocking the in the money sign, but saying that, hey, all the options, all the calls that are below 490 and below, those are in the money. And then on the flip side, all the calls with 495 price or higher, those are out of the money. So we could go to the semantic there if we wanted to, but for the most part, those are just kind of the indicators to figure out, hey, am I in the money? Am I out of the money? You can see by the shading too, just naturally as you start trading on the platform, it'll become like muscle memory where you're like, okay, light graded area, that's in the money. The more darker gray area, that is out of the money. Now, you might flip calls and puts from time to time, especially if you're starting out. I mean, I did it all the time when I was just trading for the first time. So it ain't easy, but you'll get it. No worries. Next, let's talk about setting up a trade here. We've talked about what's in our trade ticket. Let's talk about setting up a trade. We're talking about an earnings play. Earnings play, interesting. We selected the expiration right after the earnings. Maybe I'm thinking, Costco is, once again, non-investment advice. I should have sent a disclaimer at the start of this demo, but let's say, just based on some kind of premonition, it could be any stock, but I'm thinking that there is going to be a lot of price movement in this underlying after earnings. Maybe the earnings announcement won't really reflect anything. Maybe volatility will shrink and the price will just trade sideways. Well, maybe a way it could capture some profits there is by trading a strangle. So a short strangle is a strategy where we can profit where the price stays within the range of our strikes, of our short strikes. So if we wanted to set up this kind of trade and we didn't know how to do it off the bat, we'd use a strategy selector here at the top of the platform right here. Right now it's already set on a short strangle, but if you wanted to change to a different strategy, you could click on this arrow right here. And when you click on that arrow, and I'll probably just keep a little something there. When you click on that arrow, you're going to get a big drop down here with all the different strategies that you can trade. Imagine you wanted to place a vertical call spread. You can do so quickly, either by toggling short and long. This is just me clicking on the button, going between short and long. Or if you wanted to be, doing a put spread or going between put and call, you can go, okay, yeah, I want a short put spread, or oops, sorry. Or we can go to a long put vertical as well. So if we click go, that will launch the trade in our trade ticket. So let's do a long put vertical. Why not? And if we click go, now we see our order ticket populate at the bottom of the screen for the trade, or well, I guess the default trade that it just set up for us. And then we see what just happened. Okay, what did it set up for us? Well, it set us up a little long put vertical spread here, buying the 485 strike, selling the 480 strike. Maybe this isn't the trade we want off the bat. What you can do to edit this leg or both of these legs is by the easiest way is just left clicking, holding, and then dragging. And now you can change, okay, I want to sell the 475 strike. No, I want to sell the 470 strike. No, I want to sell the 465. You can change it around. And as I'm adjusting that leg, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that all those metrics, profit or loss points, entry price, delta, theta, all that stuff is updating in real time based on how I'm adjusting my trade. So we wanted to set up a strangle earlier. Let's go ahead and do that. And we could do that either through, just to show you really quickly how we could do that on the strategy selector tool. We're going to go back to the top here where we clicked on this arrow. And then once you click on that, you can then go to short strangle and click go. So, and you can go long strangle too, but we're just on short strangle and then click go. And now we have a short strangle, default one set up. Maybe we want to widen it out, get a little farther apart, or bring it closer together. We can drag and drop, move it around how we like. There's also, if you're not a fan of the drag and drop, there's buttons here at the bottom of the order ticket. You can mess around with the strikes, the width and the quantity, and also the expiration. There's also a little undo button, just a note. But in order, talking about strikes here, you can either push up or down your strikes, it's like, okay, I want both my strikes to go up $5. Boom, now they're both up $5. If I want them to go down $5 to the 470, 495, click down. Did I click up? Oh, sorry, wrong way. I had it flipped, but you get the idea. Long afternoon, folks. So thank you for staying with me. But we can also click on width here on the order ticket, where you can either widen the spread or tighten it as well. Maybe we want to do that same idea where we were bringing the legs closer together, or we wanted to push the legs farther apart as we're clicking in. It's changing our order ticket. Generally, I just like to drag and drop. It's pretty, intuitive, but if you're just, working off of one click, you can definitely use these tools here. So let's get it back to what we were looking at earlier. We are setting up an earnings play. So in one last piece too, we use the strategy selector tool just to show you how quickly you could do this all yourself without having to do the strategy selector tool. If we wanted to say, for instance, sell the 515 and sell the 465, we could set that order up without having to move the legs. We can clear out the order here really quick for these. Just to show this example, clear button in the bottom right, click and clear, boom, our legs are gone. If we wanted to set that up super quick, bid, we click on a bid price, we're selling something. Click on an ask price, we're buying something. Doesn't help that bid has a B in it and ask has an S in it. Doesn't get any extra brain function there. But when you see bid and you click on a bid price, any of these prices here, you're going to be selling that leg. Same with this. If you're on the put side, if you're clicking on a bid price on this side, you are selling that leg. Flip side, you click on an ask price on either side, you are buying that leg. So since we were selling two legs for a strangle, all we need to do is find the strikes that we wanted. We like the 515. All I need to do, you see as I scroll my mouse over here, make sure that you guys have got eyes on this. As I scroll my mouse over here, it's actually a button, highlights, left click, and now you can see that I opened a short call on the 515 strike. It updates in my order ticket, one click, super quick. And then, oh, we wanted the 465. Let me click on the 4.20 bid at that strike, and boom, now we have a strangle set up. Sorry, Zoom is probably throttling my little old laptop here, so it might be lagging, but we're all good. So now that we have set up our strikes, let's look at the trade visualization here. We got the order ticket below, but let's just take a look at, hey, I want to see my profit or loss zones on this trade. Or I also want to see, hey, where was that expected move we were talking about earlier? Well, you can see the expected move that we were talking about earlier, which right now for this expiration after earnings is 22.47. If we're thinking with our strangle where we want it to profit, where it stays between our strikes, like as long as it trades for the next 23 days between these two strikes, we should hopefully get a profit here. With that idea, maybe we want to set our strikes outside the expected move. We're thinking, okay, within one standard deviation based on current options pricing model, it's probably going to stay within this range. But, once again, premonition, just an example here. But what we can do is set up our legs like I did just now, right outside the expected move that's shown on the table. So this orange bar here, that you might have not seen earlier, that is your expected move. So that's 22.47 up and down from the last price. So, as you're going through your trades, you're especially if you like the statistics, it's good to check out, hey, what's the expected move on this? Now, you see the orange bar there on the right side, but you also have a green and red bar here on the left side. Now, Costco, this is kind of a pretty wide strangle, maybe just for showing example purposes. I'm just going to bring it a little together. But as you see on the left side here, as we're dragging these legs, these green red bars are moving. These are the profit or loss zones on your order. So as you are, setting up an order here, you can see, okay, my profit or loss, my break-even point's right around 460. And then as long as it's, trading above that, should be okay. Same on the flip side, we can see our profit or loss, and zoom to stop me from scrolling, but we can see our profit or loss zone here too. And that's a very like crass view of it. If you wanted to get a more in-depth view, you can click on the curve mode here, curve right here, click on curve. And now we're going to get a horizontal view of the trade tab. So there's a lot going on, a lot of numbers. Might be a little intimidating at first, but for the most part, all we got to look at here is, again, we got our green box at the top indicating our profit zone, red loss zones. We got strike prices in the middle. Still got our order ticket at the bottom. What's cool is that you can drag and drop these legs too. And in the middle, we even got our expected move. So it's kind of a different interpretation or different way of viewing the trade table, except in a horizontal view. But personally, you can kind of skip this for the most part and just go straight into clicking analysis here on the right side. This is what a lot of you are going to be looking for, analysis right here. If you click on analysis, that is going to populate, and then let me make sure I deselect that. We got everything there. Boom, money. Okay, so while we're in analysis, just some things to set off the bat. I would say make sure that these are deselected. Make sure that add expiration is selected here. You want the info box. You can have quotes if you want, but it's not really necessary. Generally not really showing any Greeks. You want the P&L at expiration line, and then you can have the P&L Theo line if you want. But for the most part, I would say, kind of keep it set like this. It might just clutter your screen a little bit. Like there's a lot of great information that you can pull out of this. It's just sometimes like you get blasted with a lot of information if you have everything selected off the bat. So this is a good, just, once again, we're looking at the kind of the analysis chart of our position, our profit or loss zones at expiration. We can see as we're scrolling our mouse across the different strike prices are essentially saying like, hey, if the price is, let's go down to 533.17, based on our trade that we'd place, our P&L at expiration would be an $850 loss. And normally, I think, Zoom's just kind of bugging out my laptop here. You'd also see the numbers here at the top of the platform as well. And then also, the credit we're receiving for this trade is our max profit. So you see, if the underlying Costco stays within here up until expiration, then, we should, in theory, get that max profit of $970. So that's the analysis mode. Now let's just quickly go back to table and talk about the order ticket. So within the order ticket, there's quite a bit more information. It's all applicable if you want it to be. Otherwise, I'll show you what you can mainly focus on if you're just starting out. So we got, what is it, row, probability of profit, extrinsic value, P50. So these are all statistical measures. They can get a little complicated, but just, in a beginner set, I don't need to worry too much about them. We have a glossary on our help center. Pete can send out with definitions on these. Also, I know Tasty Live does a lot of great content on this kind of data or interpreting this data well, but just for complexity's sake, we're just going to skip over it for now. We also have our delta, which is, hey, if Costco goes up $1, in theory, we should, get an increase in profit of $12.58. Theta, how much time decay we got on this position, saying, hey, each day we're probably getting about $39 in premium just from time decay because we're selling this position, selling to open. We got our max profit here. So again, I was talking about how we're placing in 970 since these are equity options that, deliver to 100 shares. You multiply the price by 100 to get the dollar equivalent. So that's where we get price of 970 for opening credit. Our max profit is 970. The max loss on a strangle is infinite. So, inherently riskier strategy. If Costco goes nuts, it could go south. So I want to make sure we're keeping close eyes on this. And then also, you can imagine, since this is a little bit riskier of a trade, it's going to require a little bit heftier buying power requirement. How much cash needs to be held aside in collateral for you to maintain that position open in your account. All good stuff. And then underneath, we're going to get our order ticket price. So in the center is where you are entering your order price. You can either double click and, Gordon saw your message. It might be like the Zoom taskbar is specific to the user. Like sometimes it defaults in certain areas of your screen. You just can't move it. I try like left clicking, dragging anything. It will show up in the recording though. So if you want to check this out later, sorry if you're having issues on that side. And then another question that came up, does Active Trader work for options? As of right now, it doesn't. That's just for outright equities and stocks and futures contracts, and then not for futures options. But yeah, sorry about that, Gordon. So just to continue, we got our price here at the bottom. We can double click here and type in a price. Maybe we want to enter $10 or 10 points. Technically sell them for a credit of $1,000. But also, so you can focus on that for the most part of like, hey, what's the price I want to enter my trade at here? And, we're selling two options. So the order type on our right side is a net credit. And then the time in force here, we're just going to have the order working for a day. So time in force is more of an idea of like, say you wanted to place an order kind of below or above the market where it's not going to get filled right away, but maybe if the underlying trades in your direction, then it'll get closer to your limit price. That's where you maybe want to, set a GTC good until canceled, where that order is going to be working for multiple days before, the market's even trading close to where it could get filled, kind of like a resting order. But for the most part, just send it as a day, expecting to, get it filled right away if we can. So one thing that's important to note as we're placing our options orders, in the bottom of the screen, we're going to see the market for the order that we're placing. So kind of like the bid and ask for the singular options, we're seeing the net bid and ask for the spread. In this case, the natural price, what we're more likely to get a fill on is right around $9.24. Pretty darn likely that we're going to get filled there, but not a guarantee. Could be a weird scenario. But we also have the mid price, which is just kind of the in-between price. It's taking the mid price between both options. Also, it might look like the spreads are insanely wide right now. The market's closed, so naturally they all go super wide when it's closed. If the market was open, maybe we'll get another demo going here when the hours are actually up, but it would be a lot tighter. But in this case, we got a mid price of 970, and then also kind of a high price there of 100 or 1010. So we place at a price of $10 right now, and say the market is open. Probably not the best chance of getting a fill, but the closer you are to placing to the mid price, kind of within this range between the mid price and the natural price, the more likely you are to get a fill. It's the idea that it's like, yeah, if you're receiving less cash to open up a position, it's easier to open. Or on the flip side, if you're paying more to open a position, then it's easier to open. Or like it's someone on the other side of the market is going to take it because they have an order there. So good stuff to know. In this case, let's just route it at the mid price, 970. Once we are ready with our order, we can go to review and send here in the bottom right, click on that. And now that you've clicked on review and send, clear that out. We're going to get a breakdown of our order here. Double check. Do not double click the review or like quadruple click the review and send. I've seen a couple of times where people have just hammered the button, didn't realize it was the wrong trade. Always double check your orders. Always double check. I've made a mistake myself and it absolutely stunk. You bite the bullet, but it's always good, the 2 seconds to check that, oh yeah, we're placing a strangle on the 475, 515 here. Let's get some drawings so you see where I'm talking about. Oh yeah, we're selling the 475 put to sell to open, selling the 515 call, sell to open. They're both made 26, getting a credit, or like we're opening for credit 970, seeing our buying power reduction, see a breakdown on commissions and fees for the trade. And then, we could also potentially select the account. Got like 50 arrows going on right here. Sorry about that, guys. you could change your account too, that if you have multiple accounts that you want to route the order in. So if we were ready to send this order, we could do that. Or if we hated this order, I'm like, you know what was I even thinking? You could click on clear order to clear out the order, or click edit order. And that just takes us back to the window that we were just at before this. So you can, again, change the price, mess around with the strikes, all that jazz. So let's just send this order. Let's go for it. I like it. So if we click on send order in the bottom right, in the top left of the platform, you just saw something pop up. That is our working order on Costco. If you look in the trade tab here, we're going to see on the May 26th expiration that we have our working orders here. So it's just a little W marker saying, hey, you got a working order on this strike. You're not open yet. Oh, geez. But they are there. You can see your working order either in, oops, too much drawings. In the positions tab here, clicking on positions here in the top left of the platform. If you make sure that you have this filter selected here, so you can see your working orders. But under Costco, we now can see our working order here. You can either just watch it as it goes along and works, or we can right click. So that's right clicking on an order, or you can do it for an open position too. And click to cancel or replace, edit the order price. You know, maybe if we wanted to change this to, so I clicked on replace there, changes to 965, just to show you how quick we can do that. Change it to 965. We're reviewing in our bottom right, double check. Okay, yeah, we're placing it for 965, same order, send order. Now in the top left, we get a confirmation that we canceled our 970 order. Now we're working at 965. There's a couple other places that you can edit your orders from, either in the activity tab here. This tab right, oops. This tab right here, activity, you can click on that. And we'll see our working Costco order too. You can check out a bunch of old transactions as well. And maybe we want to open up our right side panel just one more time. You can see here under overview or activity as well, either of those two. You can see at the bottom of the screen our working order. So there's quite a few places. The idea here is that, like, hopefully you got this right side panel up or attached on another window. You could still kind of mess with your orders as you have the trade table open. Maybe you're trading some other symbols at the same exact time and you want to cancel your orders on another symbol. You know, check out the right side panel. It's a nice little abbreviated version of the middle panel where you can do a lot of the same actions. So now we're hitting near the end here. Last piece I just wanted to talk about was order chains. So order chains is probably one of the most, I don't know, sensational is the word to use. Just great feature that we have on the desktop platform here. Scroll over. Order chains. If you scroll over a mouse here, we can click on it. This is only on the right side panel. So if you are rolling positions, or let's see, sorry, 1 second here. Let's see, what kind of trade do we want to look at here? Anything good going on? Maybe in Meta. Let's check out Meta. Nike. Sorry, guys. Trying to find a good example here. Oh, yeah, SQ. Perfect. I was looking for something with a roll. So if you were rolling options or a trader that likes to roll your options, this is a great feature for keeping track of your rolls. So we made SQ our active symbol at the top of the platform, or we could type it in at the top of the right side panel as well. But in the order chains window, you're going to see all your trades. You can filter it based on the amount of days too. So you can look like 30 days out, 60 days, 120 days out, over a year. But in here, we can see our open position right now. We got a little, was this just like a calendar? Yeah. We got a little calendar spread. And we can see how it started. So we actually started as a bit of a strange order here. We made a roll on this trade. We closed two of our legs, our 65 strike and our 75 strike, opened, sell to open our 60 strike. And we did that all for a net credit of 75. So we opened this initial position for debit of 3.15, rolled for a credit of 0.75. You see the net average trade price is canceling that out. And then we can see our total P&L in comparison to the current mark. So, bid and ask right now are probably a little off too, so it's not marking. But this is a great tracking tool if you want to go through a lot of rolled trades. I know some people that roll trades like 20 times in a row, super hard to keep track of. This is a great tool to use, see order chains on the right side. So hopefully that was good and informational. We got a good trade set up. I just want to open it up to just Q&A, chat, just fire away any questions. Features coming up, order types, demos coming up. Feel free to toss it in. You want me to, go over something again or go over a certain area of the platform, let me know. We got a few minutes here. Got any takers? Doesn't seem like it. Iron Condor market open. It's not possible. I mean, it's not, it's possible. It's just, maybe that's a hard question for me to answer from a registered representative point of view. But I mean, to open it at the open, but yeah, it's like the pricing might not be the best. I don't know. Trying to leg in depends. Are you day trading? I definitely reach out to the support team on that, support@tastytrade.com. We can kind of go into a little more of the nitty-gritty details. Just don't want to go on too much of a tangent here. Sorry about that, Gordon. Thinkorswim paper trade. You asked Tom. Oh, we're asking about paper trading. So this is something that we've definitely looked at and it's on a radar, but for the most part, I think the main reasoning that we haven't seen it as quickly is that, when your paper trading is decent for testing your strategies, but it's also going off of like instantaneous fills based on the price that you're setting them at, like for the most part, or based on, the mid price. So it's not necessarily actually where you might get filled. Maybe you're trading a super liquid product and testing your strategy in a paper trading account, and you're always getting filled on the mid price, but next thing you know, you test it live and you're not getting fills anywhere close to there because it's not like the test environment. So like there's two sides of the story. And I think that's what's slightly slowed it. It's not like, oh, it's great all around. There are some takebacks to it. So that's my best explanation as to why we don't have it yet. But it's definitely something we're looking at going into. Once again, it takes a lot of infrastructure, a lot of building time. So it's a project that they're working on. It's just going to take a lot of time. So yeah, a lot of other cool features we're coming out with too. I mean, we just released an open API if you're interested in that. And there's a sandbox environment for the open API. So that's technically a testing environment, but that's for those API traders. So maybe it's a little complicated, at least for me. But okay, folks, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining our demo. Tomorrow we have a futures trading demo. We're going to post this demo to YouTube probably sometime tomorrow, right after we get a cut. But yeah, big shout out to Pete. Thank you for answering questions, staying on chats, and thanks for all joining, part of the party. As always, in 1 second, sorry, I just gotta toss this up. Just a little disclaimer that, hey, this is not investment advice. The trades I place, don't try doing it yourself. Those are just for example purposes. So that should be it. Thank you so much, folks. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And definitely check out our next demos. Yeah. Reach out to support too. Check out our help center. It's good stuff. Also the YouTube channel. Great videos. So, okay, awesome. Well, have a nice night.